ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं चर्षणीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यं बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यम् ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवीव चक्षुरा ततम्। Okay, say after me, Hare Ram Krishna. Om Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna. Okay. So, what Seshu requested me is not to cover anything important because he is going to be missing this class because of the Rudrakshakam. So, he told me to continue doing some examples but not teach anything really important, and I will try to do that. We will see an example. The example I had in mind was Swami Jayendra Saraswati, the troubled leader, the troubled Hindu leader. Yeah, I will open the chart. I should have the data. I have the data.
Not there in the default celebrities.
Oh, it is in the default?
Default what?
In the default list?
There is some list with our software. Right?
Yeah. Is it there? I don't think it is there.
So we'll fill the data in?
Yeah, I'll give you the data once again. Swami Jayendra Saraswati. So we are going to take a look at the chart of Swami Jayendra Saraswati.
Yeah, it's there.
It is there? Okay.
Oh, then
Okay. So everybody who has the software should have this data.
where is how
Data. Go to open and
Just
under data.
open.
file and open?
Yeah. Find Swami Jayendra Saraswati.
Okay, yeah.
You find it? Okay. The data is, for those who are listening to the audio on internet, the data is July 18, 1935, 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time. The longitude and latitude are 79 degrees 26 minutes east, 10 degrees 42 minutes north. Those are the longitude and latitude, and he was born at 7 p.m. I have not rectified this chart, but it looks reasonable based on what I have seen so far, but I have not rectified this chart, so it could be off by a few minutes. First of all, I want you to try. When you look at this chart, could you have guessed that this chart belongs to a saint? Somebody who's a sannyasi, for example, somebody who's not married, who doesn't have children, who's not into material life, somebody, a spiritualist, who's, pardon me?
I think
Okay.
change the language.
I'll change the language. Sorry. Okay. Okay, can you read it?
Yeah.
So, if you look at the chart, what is the first criterion, the most basic thumb rule that you use to see whether somebody is a saint or somebody is a spiritual person, or okay, good, but leave that part, spare that part. Actually, I want to rephrase it. Not spiritual. I'm not talking about spiritual. What I'm talking about is somebody who's materially inclined, or somebody who's a saint who doesn't care about material success, etc. What is the first thumb rule that we have talked about earlier? Who should be there in the third and sixth from Arudha Lagna? Third and sixth. Third house is the house of Parakrama, initiative and drive. And the sixth house is the house of fighting enemies and defeating enemies. So those are the two important houses, third and sixth. And if you look at those houses from the Arudha Lagna, because Arudha is how you manifest. Lagna is your real, the true nature that is inside you. And by true nature, even a saint may be somebody who has lot of fire within him, lot of initiative. But Arudha is what finally manifests, what rises. And in that nature that finally manifests in the society, that nature has to be very soft. The difference between a saint and for example, let us say a businessman is, the businessman would go after whatever he wants to achieve, and he will get it. There can be certain level of ruthlessness to somebody who is materially successful. On the other hand, a saint will not have the same level of ruthlessness. He will be happy to be defeated by his enemies. He is not really keen on fighting enemies, defeating enemies, etc. He is only keen on fighting enemies within, which is seen from Lagna, not from Arudha Lagna. So, a real saint will not really feel enmity towards anybody. Even if somebody is hurting him, he will not really bother about it. He will not become angry. He will not become agitated. That is the mark of a real saint. And if you see the charts of real saints, you will see that the third and the sixth houses from Arudha Lagna will have benefic planets like Jupiter, Venus, Mercury, Moon, and so on. You will not see planets like Saturn, Rahu, Mars in the third and sixth from Arudha Lagna. But if you do see those combinations in somebody's chart, don't jump to the conclusion that it's bad. If you are looking at somebody, a businessman for example, or if you are looking at a politician, if you see Mars in the third, Saturn in the sixth, don't say it's bad, it's actually good, because it makes him ruthless. Mars in the third and Saturn in the sixth will make that person very ruthless. He will have lot of fire within him, and he will not hesitate to give sorrow to his enemies. If there is Saturn in the sixth from Arudha, that person will give lot of sorrow to enemies. He will not hesitate to do that. So that is good if somebody is a materialistic person, if somebody is a politician. But if you see that combination in the chart of a saint, a supposed saint, you can conclude that there is some problem there.
Only 3 and 6, not 8.
Not 8, 3 and 6, yes. These are the Upachayas, 3, 6, 10 and 11. And especially 3 and 6, because those are the houses that show how you fight. Third house is the seed. Without third house, you don't even feel like fighting. So third house will give you that bravery to fight. And sixth house will actually make you fight and finish it off. If you see, suppose somebody has, let us say, in the third from Arudha Lagna, let us say somebody has Jupiter. And let us say the sixth from Arudha Lagna is Mars. Then that person will not have that fire. He will not have the initiative to fight. But once he decides to fight, he will finish off the enemy like Mars. On the other hand, let us say somebody has Mars in the third from Arudha and Jupiter in the sixth from Arudha, let us say. That person, because of Mars in the third from Arudha, his first instinct is go and kill them. If somebody comes at him, he wants to go and kill that person. He has that fire within him. But when it comes to actual fighting, he doesn't feel like fighting. So he may get that aggressive instinct, but he doesn't really implement that instinct finally. And
soft towards the person.
Finally, when it comes to fighting, he will feel some compassion. He will not feel like fighting. So that is the difference. On the other hand, if you see malefics in both third and sixth, that person will have aggressive instincts and he will follow it up with aggressive actions. And he will, if necessary, he will kill his enemy and be done with it. And he has no remorse towards it. That is the nature of somebody who has malefics in the third and sixth from Arudha Lagna. On the other hand, if you see only benefics in those two houses, either those houses are empty or there are only benefics, such a person, he will not want to harm anybody. He will not even get aggressive instincts. Even the first instinct will not be aggressive. It will be very restrained, and even the actions will be not so aggressive. Such a person is a real saint. If you see any real saint chart, that's what you will see. And here, if you apply that principle, see where is Arudha Lagna?
It's in Pisces.
Arudha Lagna is in Pisces.
Only sixth house.
Third house is empty, but when a house is empty, you can look at the nature of the sign. Suppose there is third house from Arudha Lagna is Capricorn, and let us say it is empty. Still, there is some malefic nature in that house. Because it is empty, its Lord will give the results. So here, the third house from Arudha Lagna is Taurus, and it is empty. So you have to look at the nature of the sign itself. What is the nature of Taurus? Is it benefic sign or a malefic sign? It's a benefic sign. Any sign that's owned by a benefic is a benefic sign for this purpose. So Taurus is a benefic sign. Now look at the 6th house.
Leo.
Is there a planet there?
Venus.
Excuse me. Venus. Is that a benefic planet or a malefic planet?
Benefit.
Is Venus always benefic or sometimes benefic?
Always.
He is always benefic. Only Mercury is sometimes benefic, sometimes malefic, depending on who he gets together with. But Venus is always by definition benefic. He is a very benefic planet. So, you see only benefic influences on the 3rd and 6th houses. But there is another thing. You can also look at the aspects on those houses, the sign aspects. So that is only secondary. These are the primary things. But if you look at those secondary influences, who are aspecting Taurus? Planets, highlight Rasis, aspected by this Rasi. So if you look at the signs that are aspected by Taurus, the signs are Cancer, Libra and Capricorn. And the planets in those are Jupiter, Mars and Sun.
Yeah.
So, Jupiter, Mars and Sun are aspecting Taurus. So, you have how many benefic influences do you have and how many malefic influences? Sun is considered to be a benefic in this matter. For the matters of dharma, for the matters of marriage, etc., Sun is considered to be a benefic and not a malefic. So, especially when he is in a friendly sign. So, Sun here is in moon sign and we are talking about a matter relating to dharma, relating to somebody's nature. So, Sun should be considered to be a benefic. So, Sun is a benefic, Jupiter is a benefic, only Mars is one malefic planet. So, two benefic planets are aspecting this particular sign. So, there is more benefic influence. The only undesirable influence is Mars. All other influences are benefic. And when you look at the 6th house, definitely you see Venus there really dominating. And even though Jupiter and Mars both are aspecting this sign by sign aspect, if you see the sign aspects on Leo, let me highlight Rasis aspected by this Rasi. So if you look at the signs that are aspecting this sign Leo, Aries, Capricorn which are empty, and then Libra which has Jupiter and Mars. So the 6th house from Arudha Lagna is aspected by Jupiter and Mars and is containing Venus. So even though Mars is even though Mars is aspecting, Jupiter and Venus, two really benefics, ranked benefics, two very important benefics are associated. One is occupying the sign and the other is aspecting the sign. So overall, will this person be able to fight and destroy people, or will he be somebody who will just walk away when somebody hurts him? Is he somebody who's just going to walk away? What do you think? He's just going to walk away. So the thumb rule is, for those who came late, the 3rd and 6th house from Arudha Lagna, they show your nature, the manifested nature, whether somebody wants to fight or whether somebody wants to kill others or whether somebody just walks away when somebody troubles them. And the 3rd house is the house of initiative and the 6th house is the house of finishing off the enemy. If you see malefics in the 3rd house, that person will have aggressive instincts. On the other hand, if you see malefics in the 6th from Arudha Lagna, that person will not hesitate to destroy the enemy. He will be very ruthless in final act. So depending on whether there are benefics and malefics in these 3 houses, depending on the combination, there are different results. Malefics in the 3rd and benefics in the 6th means aggressive instinct but not really finishing it off. Similarly, benefics in the 3rd and malefics in the 6th means instincts are not aggressive, but once he decides to do it, he does it. He is so ruthless towards his enemies. If you have only benefics in both, then such a person is a real saint. He doesn't have enmity towards anybody. He doesn't want to hurt anybody. He doesn't want to hurt even an ant. So that is the nature of somebody who has benefics in the 3rd and 6th from Arudha Lagna. And here the 6th house has a benefit and another benefit, Jupiter is aspecting it, and the 3rd house from Arudha Lagna, Taurus, is empty, but it's a benefic sign. When the sign is empty, look at the nature of the sign itself, and Taurus is a benefic sign because Venus owns it, and another benefic planet, Jupiter, aspects it. So overall, this chart belongs to a saint. Mars is the only troublemaker there. Mars is aspecting both 3rd and 6th. So there can be some aggressive instincts. There can be some aggressive follow-up. But Mars is totally being dominated by Jupiter and Venus. So there may be some, it's not 100%. It's not the saintly nature that I talked about is not 100% in this chart. And you often don't find 100% in any chart, any start of this yuga. Only very few charts have that. In many charts you have some malefic influence as well. But looking at the domination of the benefic influences on the 3rd and 6th from Arudha Lagna, clearly this chart belongs to a saint. If somebody tells you that they have a proof that he is involved in somebody's murder, astrologically speaking, leaving your biases etc. aside, astrologically speaking, there are very few reasons to suspect that that is true. It is very, very likely that the charges of murder on which this saint was arrested recently, a couple of days back, it is very likely that the charges are either false or framed by somebody, or it is also possible that somebody around him was involved in the murder but he had nothing to do with it. That is also possible. We will see that later using the dashas, what kind of people he was associated with in the last few years. We will see that. But if somebody tells you that he is involved in the murder, he hired some people to murder that gentleman Shankar Raman, you can directly conclude that it is against his nature. So that is point number 1. And now let us study the chart a little more deep. Let us see the Shashtyamsha. When you see the chart of a saint, the first thing you should do is look at the 9th lord, because 9th is the house of dharma, righteousness, well-beinghness. Look at the 9th house, see how strong the 9th house is, what are the influences on the 9th house, and also look at the Shashtyamsha occupied by the 9th lord. The Shashtyamsha will show what kind of karma you are carrying from all your past lives. And if you see somebody's Shashtyamsha, somebody's 9th lord in the Shashtyamsha of, let us say, Rakshasa, you can conclude that this is not a really spiritual person. Because if the 9th lord in somebody's chart is in Rakshasa Shashtyamsha, the dharma that person will follow is defined by lot of Rakshasa karma from past lives, several past lives. So such a person will follow a dharma which is of Rakshasas, which is of demons. So that person will not be a saint or will not be a spiritualist. Such a person will follow negative dharma. It can be a serial killer, it can be a murderer, it can be an assassin, it can be a thug, it can be a rogue, but it will not be a saint. So you have to look at the 9th lord. Or even if that person is in the garb of a saint, he is not a real saint. He is following Rakshasa dharma even if he is wearing the garb of a saint. So you should look at the 9th lord. Who is the 9th lord in this chart? From Capricorn Lagna, the 9th house is Virgo and the lord of the 9th house is Mercury. And which Shashtyamsha does Mercury occupy? Deva. Deva Shashtyamsha. What does Deva mean? God. Deva literally means God, divine. So the 9th lord Mercury is carrying karma from past several lives. That is basically what kind of karma is it? It's a divine karma. He did godly karma in past several lives, and the results of those karma are carried by Mercury in this life. And they come in this life as his dharma. That means he is given really, really good karma, dharma. I have my own dharma, you have your own dharma. Based on our spiritual evolution through several lives, each gets a different karma, different dharma. Somebody who is not really, who's from a very, let's say, from a lowly family in India, who doesn't know lot of knowledge, who doesn't have a lot of knowledge, and let us say he drives a bullock cart every day and makes his living by it. For such a person, the dharma is very limited. He doesn't have to teach astrology. He doesn't have to spread religion. For him, if he goes to a temple and says Rama, Rama, Rama 3 times every week, that is great dharma for him. He is following his dharma to the fullest. That is that person's dharma. So when we say dharma, it's not a constant. The dharma that you are supposed to follow varies from person to person. The dharma that I have to follow, teaching astrology, spreading knowledge of astrology, understanding the teachings of Maharishi, that is my dharma. Your dharma may be different. Everybody has his own dharma based on his evolution as a soul. Each person gets a unique dharma. So the fact that he has 9th lord in such a highly benefic Shashtyamsha like Deva Shashtyamsha means that he is a very evolved person who is given by Brahma a very subtle and very noble dharma because of his evolution as a soul. That is what basically it means. And what about, let us see the dashas. If you want to look at when the results of various past life karmas manifest in this life, do you remember which dasha I told you to look at? There is a special dasha that tells you when you experience the results of various karmas. Mula dasha. So if you look at in the dasha tab, look at the other dashas tab, Saloni, the third tab, and there is a, if you look at the pop-up menu, there is a dasha called Mula dasha. If you look at this Mula dasha, this is the dasha. This Mula dasha is the dasha that shows the results of various karmas that you did in the past life. So when did Mercury dasha run? If you look at the Mula dasha of Swami Jayendra Saraswati, Mercury dasha ran from
79 to 93.
79? No, 1967 to 1981.
81.
Okay. Click on options.
Click on.
No, I'm talking to him. Click on options.
Yeah.
Do you have all the check boxes checked?
Right.
3 check boxes.
Yeah.
And the next one, the combo box, does it say 0 years or 12 years?
0 years.
Change it to 12 years. That's a better option.
What is
The-
the 12 years start?
There is a controversy in Mula dasha. If a planet is in its own sign, then should you use 0 years or 12 years? Because we count from the planet to the sign, to the Mula Trikona, and then we haven't seen the computation of this dasha, but when we go through the computation, you count from the sign where the planet is to its Mula Trikona. Let us say Jupiter is in Scorpio. His Mula Trikona is Sagittarius. You count from Scorpio to Sagittarius, you have one sign. From Scorpio, if you count to Sagittarius, it's exactly one sign. If the planet is in the sign itself, you can either say I count from there to there, so I don't have any signs to count, so it's 0, or you can say I count. Suppose Jupiter is in Sagittarius, you count 1 to Capricorn, 2 to Aquarius, you keep counting, and when you come back to the same sign, it is 12. So you can say that the count is 12, or you can say that the count is 0, and that is what this option gives. In this software, basically everything is configurable so that in the case of any controversy, you can experiment for yourself, which is correct. But based on my experiments, I find 12 years, the 12-year option to be better. So choose that and you will get the same. Do you get 1967 to 81 now?
67 to 81.
Okay, one of those planets is in Mula Trikona in his case. That is why, I think Saturn, that's why it's happening. Saturn is in Mula Trikona. So you get a difference of 12 years depending on that option. Okay, so Mercury is the planet who owns the 9th house, and he is the planet who is in Devamsa. So because of lot of godly karma that he did in his past life, either past life or past several lives, this is basically accumulation of all the previous lives. Because of that karma, he is going to be given a dharma in this life, which is compatible with that kind of karma that he did in the past life, which is compatible with the deva karma that he did in the past life. So some high level of dharma will be granted to him as a result of all the good things that he did in his past life, and that will happen in Mercury's Mula dasha. It is Mercury's Mula dasha that will bring that high level of dharma to him. So if you look at the dasha, it is 1967 to
Can we
1981.
say that he has not finished that part of Dharma last birth, so he has to finish it this year?
Yes, you can say that, absolutely. That is definitely a possibility. If you want to look at it deeper, you have to look at the Shashtamsa, but I have not rectified this chart. So I absolutely do not want to go into the Shashtamsa and do any readings because I am not at all confident. Shashtamsa is the chart that you should do at the end of it. So right now we don't know why that happened in this life. Is it because something was unfinished, or I mean there can be several possibilities. We don't want to go into that, but all you know is Mercury being the 9th lord, he will define his dharma, he will give him certain dharma, and Mercury being in Devamsa, he will give a very lofty dharma to this person, and that will happen in Mercury's Mula dasha. That's what you can say.
You look at this only from the natal chart perspective, not from Navamsa. You don't get into the other.
You can look at Navamsa and other charts
But the
also.
most important primary thing
Actually,
is
the most important is Shashtamsa. The most important is Shashtamsa. If you look at Shashtamsa, if you look at what houses Mercury owns in the Shashtamsa, then you will get to know exactly what karma is unfinished from the last life. What is the karma represented by Mercury? From Deva Shashtamsa, we know it's something lofty. But is it is that lofty karma, lofty dharma going to be fulfilled as the head of a matha, as the head of a spiritual organization, or as an astrology teacher, or as a software entrepreneur? We don't really know that. How that particular dharma, the high dharma that we talked about, will come to him. In what form? We don't really know it from the Rashi chart. You get the perfect idea of that only looking at the Shashtamsha. So when you judge Mooladasha, Shashtamsha is the most important chart. And if possible, I will do an example. We did a couple of examples in the past, but I will do another example. But let us leave that aside because we don't have the Shashtamsha here for sure. So look at the Rashi chart. Now, I don't remember exactly when he became part of this parampara, Kanchi Kamakoti Pitha, but it was sometime in 1960s that he came. So it may have been before 1967, I don't know the exact date, but you can conclude that even if he was named the successor before this dasha came, during this dasha he must have learned lot of knowledge, lot of Vedas, Vedangas, all the Vedic knowledge he must have learned from the previous Jagat Guru, Swami Chandrasekhara Saraswati, during these how many years? During these 14 years. These 14 years must have been very eventful for him from the point of view of defining his dharma, because that is what Mercury stands for. Does it make sense? You are smiling, so something came to you.
Yeah.
Some question or some nice point or
Because
something.
if he had found himself during this year,
Yeah.
there wouldn't have been any confusion for him in 90s when he left the mutt and
90s or 80s?
I think in early 90s sometime he vanished and
90s? No. I thought 80s. 90s? Okay.
I remember that
Yeah.
to be very
Yeah.
recent. So
Yeah, could be 90s, early 90s. Yeah.
So for 2-3 weeks, even he was almost telling that he's going to give up his sannyasihood and then he's going to start some kind of awakening the masses.
Uh-huh.
And then after a few discussions with
Jain, yeah. Chandrasekhar, yeah.
not to do that.
Right. I think you are right. That is in 1990s, not 1980s, as I was saying. But the thing is, to see whether he found himself or not, this is not really the dasha. I'm not saying that during Mercury dasha he found himself. And finding oneself is not a one instant thing. It is a continuous process. You find yourself, but still you don't completely find yourself. It happens throughout your life or throughout several lives also. So if you understood it in those terms, I did not put it right. What Mercury dasha does is, you have to be clear. This is not Atmakarka Kendradi Graha dasha. That is the dasha that shows when the Atma finds itself. This dasha shows when something happens because of, when a result of something you did in the past life comes to you in this life. You hurt somebody in the past life, so somebody will hurt you back in this life. When that will happen? You did a great favor to somebody in the past life, so somebody will do a great favor to you in this life. When will that happen? So whatever happens to you in this life, what is the reason behind it? Why is happening? What is the past life karma that is being activated right now by what is happening to you in this life? That is what Mooladasha shows. So during Mercury Dasha, what you know is Mercury is the 9th lord, so something relating to his dharma will happen, and the planet who's owning the 9th house is in Devamsha. So the reason behind whatever is happening to him is some godly karma that he did in the past life. So whatever happens to his dharma it has a basis in some really good karma that he did in the past life. That's all you know. So during Mercury Dasha, he will reap the benefits of some deva karma, some divine karma that he did in past several lives. So during that time, because of that, he was named the successor of the most respected Pitha in Hinduism. And he got lot of knowledge from a guru who was revered by so many Hindus as an incarnation of Shiva himself, Swami Chandrasekhara Saraswati. Now, So see, now the thing is this confusion that you are talking about.
Yeah, I checked in Atmakaraka, like Mercury is running from 87 to 2001. So probably that's why those things.
Yeah, we will leave Atmakaraka Kendra Graha Dasha later. We will. There is a special Dasha. There is another Dasha called Atmakaraka Kendra Graha Dasha. That Dasha, what it shows is, it shows the evolution of your soul within this life. How you discover yourself, or how you basically separate away from what your soul wants. So that shows whatever is happening in your life from the point of view of soul, all the confusions of the soul, all the lessons learned by the soul, etc. This Dasha shows why something is happening to you. Why something is happening in Mercury Dasha? Because of something good that you did in past life. So all you can conclude is, it will be a good event. It will be the dharma that you will be given is very lofty. That is what you can conclude. Now let us look at the normal Vimshottari Dasha. Now when we look at the Vimshottari Dasha, I told you earlier, that there are several variations of Vimshottari Dasha. I told you that you can look at Vimshottari Dasha from moon or from Lagna. And I told you that you have to see the stronger of the two and then use that. And the rule that I gave you is, look at the quadrants from moon and look at the quadrants from Lagna. See, count the number of planets in those quadrants. Whichever has more planets will dominate. So that is the thumb rule. And for those of you who have the software, you can click on this Vimshottari Seed Strength Comparison Help. This menu item, if you click on it, there are 3 planets in Kendras from moon. If you say instead of Janma Nakshatra, if you choose Lagna Nakshatra, there are 5 planets in Kendras. So Lagna is stronger. So instead of looking at the Vimshottari Dasha counted from moon, you can look at the Vimshottari Dasha that was computed from Lagna. That will give you better results. But you have to understand the difference between moon and Lagna. What does moon stand for? What does moon stand for? Mind, right? What is mind? Yes, exactly. And what does Lagna stand for?
Physical existence.
Is it only physical existence or just existence? Is Lagna only physical? Okay, let me give the answer. Lagna is not only physical. Lagna is your entire existence. It encompasses various levels, and physical existence is only one part of it. Lagna is your entire existence, and Lagna is that through which you act in the world. Moon is that through which you react to the world. The difference between Lagna and Moon is, there are 2 doors. Lagna is the door from your interior to the world, and Moon is the door from the exterior to the interior, from the world to the interior. So when I say you, there is certain existence. It's not just a body, it's not just a mind, it's not just the intelligence. There is something that can't be characterized. So that you reacts with the whole world through Lagna and Moon. So Moon is basically reaction to the world, the impressions of what the world does. When I look at Kiran, I'm thinking, he likes what I said, he's nodding his head, or somebody is laughing. I know he doesn't think what I said is right. He has a question. I have to understand. So when I see what is happening around me, I'm thinking about it and I'm reacting to it. And that reaction and taking the input from the world comes through the mind. So mind is the door from exterior to the interior. It is that through which you react. It is that through which you experience the world. That is mind. That is moon. So Chandra Vimshottari Dasha, the Vimshottari Dasha that is computed from moon, that will show how you experience the world, how you feel the world. When you see what is happening around you, how you feel at a given point of time. That is the focus of Chandra Vimshottari Dasha. On the other hand, Lagna, it is the door from you to the world. It is that through which you act. It may be physical body, it may be intelligence, it may be several things, but Lagna is the one through which we act, not react. Moon is reaction. Lagna is action. So it is also intelligence. Lagna is also the seat of Intelligence, your intelligence and application of intelligence.
This Vimshatri Dasha which is put on the computer is from the Lagna.
See, you can read this. Vimshatri Dasha and in bracket started from moon. So by default it is moon. Unless I do something to change it, by default it will always show moon. So that is the standard Vimshatri Dasha that people use. So if you want to see how he feels, this is the Dasha that you should use. But
So Ramanuja, on the same thing, if you look at from sun,
yeah,
so that gives you the so Atma.
yes. If you find Vimshatri Dasha from sun, Lagna is, like I said, your actions and moon is your reactions. Sun is the soul that is sitting within. It is neither your actions nor your reactions. It is just the experiences of the soul, what the soul feels. And when you say what the soul feels, do you really know what your soul feels? We don't really know. When we look at that Dasha, if you want to understand that and see how it is working in your own case, you don't have any basis because we don't really feel our soul. Our soul is not transparent to us. It is surrounded in an opaque layer. We don't really know what our soul is going through. We are all completely unaware of the experiences of the soul. Soul is sitting inside in an opaque shell. That is the case with people like us. But perhaps in the case of some spiritually evolved people who did have Atma Darshana, which means experiencing the soul within, for them maybe that Dasha will have some meaning. But for us it has no meaning. It is usually we don't look at sun-based Vimshatri Dasha. We use that only in Adhana Chakras. There are charts cast at the time of conception of a child. So that you make a chart, and using that chart you compress all the dashas to the next 9 months, and you can figure out what happens to the soul during those 9 months. So
Can you project from the other planets too?
pardon me?
Can you project from the other planets too?
The Vimshatri Dasha?
Yes.
There are some theories, but there is no basis in the Shastra for that.
What about from Sahims? Can you project the...
That is an interesting thought, but again there is no basis for it. The only basis that we find in classics is moon, sun, Lagna, and some special stars from moon like Shamatara, Adhanatara, Utpanatara, and you also have basis for finding the Vimshatri Dasha from the longitude of Mandi, who is an Upagraha, and you have basis for finding Vimshatri Dasha from a longitude called Trisputa. It is given in Prashnamarga, a classics from South India in Sanskrit. So that classics talks about Vimshatri Dasha found from Trisputa. So if you can find it from Trisputa, there is some reason to suspect that you can also find it from various other points. But exactly what it means and how to judge it, you have to research, because there is no clear guidelines in the Shastras.
So when you see that in the Vimshatri Dasha series,
Yeah?
that means is he thinking very intensely about his dharma? Is that what
Yes. He's thinking a lot about his dharma from 1989. If you look at 1989 to 2006,
he is
the prism through which he sees the world is Mercury. And Mercury is the lord of 6th house of service. He is with Ketu, Mokshakaraka, and he is the 9th lord. So his thoughts are focused on his dharma. He is thinking a lot about his dharma. He is too attached. Moon is also attachment. So Chandra Vimshatri also shows your attachments. So he is very attached to his dharma. So that is what it shows. But if you want to see how he exerts his intelligence, how he applies his intelligence, what kind of actions he undertakes, that is better seen from the Lagna Vimshatri Dasha than Chandra Vimshatri Dasha. And especially given that he has Lagna stronger, that Dasha is definitely more meaningful. Even in the case of somebody like me, if you look at Lagna Vimshatri, that will tell you better about my actions rather than my reactions and feelings. If you want to understand my feelings and reactions, you can look at the normal Vimshatri, Chandra Vimshatri. But if you want to see my actions, what is behind my actions, what forces are guiding various actions of mine, you are better advised to look at my Lagna Vimshatri Dasha. And in a person like him, where Lagna is stronger, it is definitely more so. That means he is a person for whom actions have a higher importance than reactions. What the world thinks about him, what he feels, that is less important to him. What he does, how he applies his intelligence, those are more important to him. If you see somebody who has a stronger Lagna than Moon, that person is more individualistic, more independent. He doesn't care that much about what the world is thinking. The reactions to the world are less important than what he is doing in the world. He gives more importance to his own actions rather than what the world is thinking. So when you see a person like that, who is very individualistic and who has a strong personality, you are better off looking at Lagna Vimshyotri Dasha. And in such a case, you will see that Lagna is stronger than Moon. If you do the standard procedure, you will find that Lagna is stronger. So you can look at Lagna Vimshyotri. And before I do that, because you brought out Sahamas, I want to make a point.
You can change this to Lagna Vimshyotri Data.
Yeah, I will show you how to do it. But before that, I want to show something else. See, where is his moon? Do you know which star moon is in? He is in Dhanishta star, right? Moon is in Dhanishta 4th quarter. That is why when he was born, Mars Dasha was running. After that, the star after Dhanishta is Sadabhishak. So Rahu Dasha will come, then Purva Bhadrapada, so Jupiter Dasha and so on. You get the 9 Dashas. And in this normal Vimshyotri Dasha, you have only 9 Dashas. So the 9 Dashas will cover 9 stars, Dhanishta, Sadabhishak and up to, going all the way up to, let me open something. For those of you who are not familiar, who are not very comfortable with the stars, let me open something. So this Vimshyotri Dasha is basically, each Dasha corresponds to one nakshatra. You start from Dhanishta, you are going to the next nakshatra. So you cover only 9 nakshatras, even though the whole zodiac has 27 nakshatras. 12 rasis, but 27 nakshatras, 27 constellations. So this is an online soft copy of my book. I want to show, okay, it's in the first half itself. Nakshatra should be somewhere here, yeah. So for those of you who are not familiar, these are the nakshatras. Can I make it bigger? So these are the nakshatras. Can you read it?
Yeah.
The first nakshatra, Ashwini, goes from 0 degrees in Aries, goes up to 13 degrees 20 minutes in Aries. The next nakshatra, Bharani, is from 13 degrees 20 minutes Aries to 26 degrees 40 minutes Aries. And so on. You keep going. Every 13 degrees 20 minutes is one nakshatra. So you know that he was born in Dhanishta. So first, Dhanishta is ruled by Mars. So first Mars Dasha came. And then Rahu Dasha comes. Then Jupiter Dasha comes. Oops. And then Jupiter Dasha, Saturn Dasha, Mercury Dasha, and then Ketu Dasha, Venus Dasha, Sun Dasha, Moon Dasha. And then all the 9 Dashas are over. That will be 120 years of life. So, you are covering only 9 stars. You are not covering the entire zodiac. You are covering only 120 degrees. So, during Mars Dasha, you not only get the results of Dhanishta, but you also get the results of Mrigashira and Chitra. The other 2 stars which are also owned by Mars. So, you have each planet owns 3 stars which are separated by 120 degrees. So, during each Dasha, you get results from 3 different nakshatras.
Oh, of the same planet.
Of the same planet. So, this is the normal Vimshyotri Dasha. There is a variation of Vimshyotri Dasha called Tribhagi Vimshyotri Dasha. Tribhagi means 3-parted. 3-parted Vimshyotri Dasha. So, that Dasha, if you want to find that in the software, all you do is click this Use Tribhagi Variation menu item. Get the pop-up menu, click that. And then you see that now there are no 9 Dashas. There are 27 Dashas. And the rule that you use is, each Dasha will come 3 times. First you get Mars Dasha, Rahu Dasha, Jupiter Dasha. After all the 9 Dashas are over, again Mars Dasha will come. But this is of a different Mars Nakshatra, not the same Nakshatra. And the period is 1/3. Mars Dasha normally is 7 years, right? And here it is 7 divided by 3 years. So it will be 2 years and 4 months. That's it.
How does this Dasha help in interpretation?
I'll come to that. So this Dasha basically covers the 360 degrees of the zodiac. It doesn't cover just one Gandanta, 120 degree part. It covers the whole 360 degrees. So now his point was, can I use Sahamas? Again, for those who haven't seen it yet, in the basics tab, if you look at the top window, here where you see the longitudes, there is a button, there is a menu item called Sahamas. If you click on those, you get all these Punya Sahama, fortune, good deeds, Vidya Sahama, learning, Yasas Sahama, fame, Mitra Sahama, friend, Mahatmya Sahama, greatness, and so on. All the meanings and the names are given, and the position is given here, the longitude, and the star that is occupied is also given here. These Sahamas, the exact Sanskrit word is Sahamam. These Sahamams are significant points in the zodiacs. There is, for each matter in life, there is one significant point defined. For example, you want to look at imprisonment, because this saint was imprisoned recently, he went to jail. You want to look at imprisonment, what is the Sahama applicable for it? If you find the list, there is imprisonment given here. The third one from the end, Bandhana Sahamam, or Bandhana Sahama. Yeah, it's in Poro Phalguni, leave that. It's at 19 degrees 30 minutes, but leave that. But basically, what does it mean? That particular point in Poro Phalguni, at 19 degrees 13 minutes in Leo, that point is important when you are dealing with his imprisonment, the chances of his imprisonment, the timing of his imprisonment, etc. That point, the planets occupying that planet, the star that point is occupying, all those are important if you want to time. And now, his question was, can I use that point instead of moon's longitude to find Vinshotri Dasha? I don't know about that, but you can use this Tribhagi Vinshotri Dasha and see when various Sahamas are activated. When the Tribhagi Vinshotri Dasha, like I said, progresses through the entire 360 degrees of the zodiac. So when you come to that point, that particular point, which contains Bandhana Sahama, there may be imprisonment. When you come to that particular point which has, let us say, Rajya Sahama, there can be kingdom. When you come to the particular point that has Vivaha Sahama, there can be marriage. So that is how you use the Tribhagi Vinshotri Dasha.
But how do you use the Tribhagi with that which you just showed?
We'll see. So where is his Bandhana Sahama? It is in Purva Phalguni, right? Okay. It is it is towards the beginning of Purva Phalguni or end of Purva Phalguni?
19 Leo, somewhere in the middle.
See, look at this definition here. Purva Phalguni is from 13 degrees 20 minutes in Leo to 26 degrees 40 minutes in Leo, right? So the first quarter of Purva Phalguni is from 13 degrees to 16 degrees 40 minutes. The second quarter is from 16 degrees 40 minutes to 20 degrees. And the Bandhana Sahamam that we saw, where was it?
19 degrees.
It's 19 degrees 14 minutes. So it is towards 20 degrees, close to 20 degrees. So it is almost in the middle half. It is towards the end of the first half. It is towards the middle, but slightly before the middle of the nakshatra. So that is where, when the Tribhagi is progressing through the entire zodiac, when it comes to that particular point, there is a chance of bandhana or imprisonment. So if you look at the dashas, the first dasha is Mars dasha. Which nakshatra is that? Dhanishta, right? And we cover all the 9 dashas, all the 9 stars from Dhanishta. We come back to the Mars dasha. Which star is that now? No. See, if you go from Dhanishta in this table, if you keep going, Ashwini, Ketu, Bharani, Venus, Kritika, Sun, Rohini, Moon. Now you have another Mars nakshatra, that is Mrigasira. So the next Mars dasha that comes is of Mrigasira. And then is Purva Phalguni in that cycle, in those 9 years? Yes, you see here, right? So in the second cycle, the second set of 9 dashas, when you see Venus dasha, because Venus is the lord of Purva Phalguni. When you see Venus dasha, that is the Purva Phalguni dasha. That is the dasha when moon is in Purva Phalguni. The progress mind is stationed in Purva Phalguni star. So if you look at that dasha, when is it? See, the first Mars dasha is here. The second cycle will start here. The third cycle will be here. And we are interested in the second cycle. When is Venus dasha coming? 2001 July 30 to 2008 March 27. And how long is this? This is 20 divided by 3. So 6 years and 8 months. So roughly after how long should it happen? When is half of it? 3 years and 4 months. 3 years, 8 months, 6 years, 8 months is the entire duration of Venus dasha, which is basically 20 divided by 3. The normal Vimshotri dasha is 20 years. The Tribhagi Vimshotri dasha is 1/3 of that. So 6 years and 8 months. half of that is 3 years and 4 months. So exactly at 3 years and 4 months, the middle of the Purva Phalguni will be experienced. So when is that? If you add 3 years 4 months to 2001 July 30, what do you get? 2004 November 30. So that is the middle point. And this is slightly before the middle point, as we saw. It's 19 degrees 14 minutes. It's not exactly 20 degrees. So sometime in September, October, November time frame of 2004, the result of the Bandhana Sahama is possible. It doesn't mean everybody. If you see in your own chart that Bandhana Sahama, Tithagi Vimshatri is touching Bandhana Sahama, don't be scared. But if you have a chance to take part in something risky at that time, don't. It's a bad idea. So that is what you can do. It's not 100%. Nothing in astrology works 100%. But because there are other factors, unless there are other reasons which are making him imprisoned, which are giving him imprisonment, it will not happen just based on this factor. But when several factors come together, it will happen. But based on this, it is certainly possible. And I just want to show you another thing. Look at the Tithi Pravesh chart, 2004 Tithi Pravesh chart, the annual chart of 2004. Who is the Hora Lord? If you want to judge the current year's chart, what is likely in current year?
Hora Lord is Venus.
1 second. Yeah. Hora Lord is Venus. Okay. And whose dasha is running right now?
Running Venus.
No. 3 dasha. Because with Tithi Pravesh chart, the annual lunar return chart, the dasha that you have to use is Tithi Ashtotri dasha. Let me restart the recording, just a second. So, Jupiter should actually give him good results. He should actually remove the badha, remove the trouble. But that didn't happen. Why? So, Jupiter did not give his own results. Whose results did Jupiter give? Not two, just tell me one planet. Why? No, what is the rule? Let's not guess it, second guess it. What is the rule? When there are multiple planets, what do they say? Not stronger. Most benefic planet will give the result of most malefic planet and vice versa. So arrange them in the order of beneficence. So if you arrange them in the order of beneficence, it is Jupiter, Mercury, Mars. Jupiter is a benefic, Mercury is a neutral planet here because he is with one benefic and one malefic. Mercury becomes a neutral planet. He is neither benefic nor malefic. So you have a benefic planet Jupiter, a neutral planet Mercury, and a malefic planet Mars. So this is the order in which you arrange. And now the first and last will exchange, second from last will exchange, and so on. So basically Jupiter and Mars will exchange their results, and Mercury will give his own results. So the result that was given in Jupiter Dasha is actually Mars. It is a result of Mars. And Mars is the 8th Lord of trouble, and he is in the 12th house.
So that means the trouble will be removed?
Pardon me? No, not removed. He is giving the trouble. The remover is Jupiter. His dasha is not coming yet.
No, but didn't you say that Mars, because he's a malefic, he'll give a good result? You have to switch it?
Yeah, but in his dasha. In Mars dasha, he will give Jupiter's result. Good results will come.
Okay.
Right now, it is not Mars dasha. Remember, this is Jupiter dasha. We are looking at Jupiter dasha. So in Jupiter dasha, Jupiter will act as Mars and end up giving Mars results.
So that means he will be December 9 to December 13. Probably he'll come out of it.
Let us try to find a day earlier. But definitely during that time, there will be.
Yes.
When is Mars dasha?
December 12th, December 9th to December 13th.
Oh, you are looking at the Antardasha. Right. Yeah. So there will be some redeeming, some important redeeming during that time. That is what you can conclude. But don't say that he will be in prison until then. That's not good. I don't like to listen that. So that's not the prediction I want from you. Yeah. But there will be some important redeeming because Jupiter was giving Mars results. In Mars Antardasha, Jupiter will be able to give his own results. And then, so during that dasha, during that period, there will be some kind of redeeming. But let us look at the dasha and Antardasha that took him to jail. Yeah. Actually, not in Ashtotri. This is Venus. The normal way is Jupiter way. This is Venus way. This is the reverse way. This is a different dasha. Basically. There are 3 different styles in the way you count. One is Jupiter way, one is Rahu way, one is Ketu way, This is actually Venus and Ketu style. Ashtotri uses Venus and Ketu style. Vimshottari uses Jupiter style, and there is another Rahu style that is even worse. In the Vimshottari dasha, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4 as dasha, in the Antardasha, in the dasha of 1, the Antardasha will be 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That is Jupiter style.
But when you are looking at a chart for that particular year, you give more importance to.
I will take your question later, but I'm not done answering his question. So, if the dashas go as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and you want to find the antardashas in dasha 1, the Vimshottari dasha style is, the first antardasha will be that of 1 itself. So, in dasha of 1, antardasha will be 1, and then you go as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in antardasha. That is the Jupiter style. That is Vimshottari dasha style. That is the common style in many dasha schemes. But the Ketu style or Venus style is, you start with 2, and then go as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then come back to 1. The Antardasha of the Dasha Lord will come at the end. So that is what Ashtotri uses. And finally there is another one here, that is total Rahu style, where it is totally reversed. So you basically start as 1, and then go back. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, and so on. No, actually you don't start with 1, you start with 9. So you come as 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that is Rahu style. That is used in Shodasotri Dasha. This is not that. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. So Jupiter Dasha will come at the end. So anyway, this is how Antardashas are in this particular Dasha.
No, my question was.
Now you can ask your question.
When you are looking at the annual chart,
Yeah.
you look at the Tithi Ashtotri Dasha.
Yes.
Does that take predominance to the Vimshottari Dasha?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. This is a Dasha tailor-made for this particular chart. Similarly, there is a chart known as Sadhaka chart, the solar return chart. With that, there is a tailor-made Dasha called Patyayani Dasha. You have to use that Dasha with those charts.
So I'm just curious that if with the Rashi chart, Vimshottari Dasha is of a benefic, say,
Yeah.
and then annual chart,
Yeah.
the Dasha is of a malefic.
Yeah.
So can we assume that within
The natal chart takes precedence.
Okay.
Whatever is shown in the annual chart
uh,
is something that will happen during the year if the natal chart has the promise. If the natal chart does not have the promise, this will not take precedence.
okay, so natal chart with the Vimshottari Dasha takes
Precedence.
okay.
But the thing is, if you are using Vimshottari Dasha, if you know that during these 3 years there will be some trouble. It's very tough to pinpoint when it
Which
will
of
happen.
those 3
And
years?
then,
Out of
if you look at the annual charts of those 3 years,
Okay.
and if you look at the Tithi Ashtotri Dasha, you can then focus on when it will happen. So that is why this is important. No. This is ruled by Ketu is the overall lord of this Dasha. So he doesn't have a specific. So every Dasha is basically a Ketu.
Can you explain why this from the
Yes, what?
astrological
Which one?
standpoint that for the annual charts, why do we look at Ketu or Venus Dasha as the starting? Like why is that not based on Ketu Dasha or Venus Dasha? What is the reason, what's the rationale behind Ketu as compared to Saturn or Mars or somebody else?
Okay, you are talking about why we are using this particular Dasha which is lorded by Venus and Ketu for the annual chart.
Just the reasoning.
Yeah, one simple reason I will give you is this is Tithi based Dasha. Tithi Ashtotri Dasha. Tithi Pravesha chart. This whole system of annual horoscopy is based on Tithi. And Tithis are of Jalatattva. I told you earlier that out of Panchanga is Tithi, Yoga, Karana, Vara, Nakshatra. These are the 5 divisions of the time which show the quality of time at a particular instant. And out of these, Tithi is of Jalatattva, watery nature. Yoga is of Akashatattva, ethery nature. Vara is of fiery nature. It is Agni Tattva. And Nakshatra is of Vayu Tattva. And what did I leave? Karana. Karana is of Bhutattva, earthy nature. Nakshatra is airy nature. So this is the mapping between the Panchangas and the Panchabhutas. So this particular chart is based on Tithi. Venus is most important. Things relating to Venus are very important. So you use Ashtotri Dasha here, not Vimshottari Dasha. Ashtotri Dasha is ruled by Venus and secondarily Ketu. Okay. So now, because I am emotionally attached in this particular case, I don't think I can give a honest prediction. It's very tough to give a clear prediction. I can be unbiased to some extent, but when it comes to expecting when he will be released, I absolutely cannot be unbiased. I don't want to think that it will take a long time. If you look at the dashas, Jupiter Dasha, Rahu Dasha is running right now. Jupiter, like we said, gives the result of Mars, and Rahu is again, Rahu, what is the link between Mars and Rahu? Can you see that they are associated with the same house here?
Live in the 8th house.
8th house. Mars is the 8th lord and Rahu is in 8th house. So during Jupiter Dasha, Antardasha, the results of the 8th house will be given with full-blown effect. What does the 8th house show? Something sudden. That too, this is Aries, this is not Pisces. So something very sudden, something political, something very damning, something very aggressive, and that is what it shows. And do you see any Arudha Padas in Aries? A4. What does A4 show? What does 4th house show? Comfort, happiness, house. What is A4? 4th house is Sukha. What is A4? It is a manifest state. So the house that you live in, living in a particular place, the particular place that you call your home, is that shown by A4? Yeah. The place that you live in is a tangible thing. If you say your Sukha, your comfort in the place where you live, that comfort is intangible. That is from the 4th house. But the place that is associated with that comfort, the particular place that you call your home, is tangible. So that is seen from the A4, not the 4th house itself. So A4 shows the house. And A4 has a malefic here. A4 itself is in a malefic house, Aries, in the 8th house from Lagna. And its Lord is in the 12th house from Lagna. If you see, this is another thing. If you see the Lord of any Arudha badly placed from Lagna, that Arudha can suffer during that Dasha.
Can you repeat that?
The Lord of any Arudha placed in the 8th or 12th house from Lagna will show some suffering relating to that house.
It's from 8 or 12.
8th or 12th from Lagna. If the Arudha itself is placed in Dusthana and the Lord is also placed in Dusthana, then it is sure. If one of them happens, then you are not 100% sure.
The 8th Lord in the 12th house, isn't that a good
Yes, but had he been alone?
Had it been
He is spoiling Lagna Lord there. He is spoiling 10th Lord there. He is spoiling the fame. He is spoiling the karma. He is spoiling everything. He is spoiling Sukha. He is spoiling relations. See, all the 4 quadrant lords are with that particular planet. So it's not Viparita Rajoga. His question was, Mars is the 8th Lord in the 12th house. Dusthana Lord in Dusthana we said is Viparita Rajoga. So isn't Mars actually giving Viparita Rajoga? That was his question. My answer is, had he been alone or had he been with another malefic house Lord? If Dusthana Lord is in a Dusthana alone or Dusthana Lord is in a Dusthana with another Dusthana Lord, that is Viparita Rajoga. If he is spoiling all the quadrant lords, that is not Viparita Rajoga. Is that clear? So make the distinction. So now, if you see, for example, somebody's Upapada is in the 12th house, let us say, or Upada Lord is in the 8th house during an annual chart, you can conclude that during that year there can be some troubles in the marriage during the Dasha of the planet involved.
Upapada and 8.
Upapada, the same thing that I said, but Upada instead of A4. Any Arudha, if it is in the 8th or 12th house from Lagna, and its Lord also in the 8th and 12th from Arudha, then that in the matter of that Arudha, there will be some trouble, there will be some disturbance. And here, A4 is in the 8th from Lagna, and A4 Lord Mars is in the 12th from Lagna. So, during this year, there can be some lack of comfort relating to house. There can be some disturbance relating to house. So, along with the Bandhana Sahamam and all other logic that we gave, this logic will aid that logic. And both together, he is living in a jail right now. And that happened exactly in Mars Dasha, actually Jupiter Dasha, but equivalent to Mars Dasha. In Mars Dasha, Rahu Antardasha. November 8 to November 14. So it's exactly during this time it happened.
Shouldn't we see A5 also?
Pardon me?
Depicting
Okay. You want to see his fame, okay? This is, I talked about, he is robbed of his place of living. That is what we saw. Now her question is the fame, the image. What is the impact of this on the image? Now, you tell me.
You look at
Where do you see an image? Forget A5. A5 is not image, that's following, right? Fifth house is following, not image. Following has an impact on your image, but it's not exactly your image. Your image is AL. Arudha Lagna is your image. So where is Arudha Lagna? Cancer. Now, how is Jupiter Dasha as far as image is concerned? Is it good or bad? I want to remind you, when you look at Jupiter Dasha, look at Mars, because Jupiter is giving Mars result. So Mars in the second from Arudha Lagna, is it good or bad? It is bad. Any malefic in the second from Arudha is bad. What is the second from Arudha? It is the resources that you are perceived to be having. It is the food of your image. Second house is the house of food. So Arudha second house is the food of your image. It is that which is feeding your image in the minds of people. And Mars, what kind of a planet is Mars? Aggressive planet, planet of war. So that planet being in the second house, it shows the image of somebody whose resource is fight, war, etc. So he is given the image of somebody who used murder as his tool. The ability to murder, the ability to conduct war, the ability to be ruthless was seen to be his resource. All these henchmen who murdered Shankar Raman, they were seen to be his resources. They are the masters. So Mars is seen to be his resource. Is it really? We don't know that. This is only image. So Mars being in the second house from Aruh Lagna will make the person look like somebody who uses aggressive means. And this happened in the Antardasha of Rahu. And especially during those few days. What is the impact on the image? During Jupiter Dasha, Rahu Antardasha, November 8 to November 14. Where is Rahu? From Aruh Lagna, is he well placed or badly placed? He is in the 10th house from Aruh Lagna. 10th house is the house of karma. If Rahu is in the 10th house from Aruh Lagna, it is good for a mafia king. It is good for an underworld don. Because then he will be seen as somebody who is cunning, who is scheming. Rahu is the planet of cunning, scheming, shocking, machinations, all the machinations. So that is what Rahu stands for. So if you see Rahu in the 10th from Aruh Lagna, usually it's bad for people like us. Only for mafia people, terrorists, it is good. Then during that dasha, that person will be seen as, oh, somebody who did a great plot, somebody who executed a successful plot. So that is a plus point for that person in the circle where he moves.
But you would apply this only for this year.
Absolutely.
Right.
Only for the year.
Next
Only
year
for
it
this
might,
antecedent.
might change.
Yes,
Right now
yes, yes.
it's being looked like.
His overall image is, go back to Natal chart. What is his overall image? Pisces. Very sattvic, bhasi-like person. Very pious person. And third and sixth, like we discussed earlier, have benefit. So very sattvic person. But this is specifically this year's chart. We are looking at this year's chart.
Oh, okay, yeah, forget it.
I have a question. The Lord of the second, which is Sun, is all in the Aruda Lagna. Does
Yeah.
that have any effect, in offsetting the Mars?
Yes, yes. Sun in the Arudha is a good aspect.
Okay.
So when Sun Dasha comes, it is good. During Sun Dasha, there is no problem.
Okay.
Only Mars Dasha is problem. Even Mercury and Jupiter in the second from Arudha are well placed.
Yes.
Jupiter shows somebody who is very intelligent, very religious. Mercury shows somebody who is very resourceful, very intelligent, very smart, very learned. So that is what Mercury shows. So during Mars Dasha and during Mercury Dasha, there is absolutely no problem. It is only during Jupiter Dasha when Mars results are given that you have a problem. Otherwise, the second from Arudha is also quite okay. Yes.
When you're talking
So I managed to confuse you. Good. What is the confusion?
from Aruda,
Yeah.
between Mars and actual system,
You don't look at the last shift from Arudha. You don't look at the last shift from Arudha. You look at the last shift from Lagna. So from Lagna, he is the third and eighth planet. He is a bad planet. And moreover, he is natural male field. And he being in the second from Arudha, he is that. The image is basically given, image is painted during that time.
So from the Aruda Lagna, you only see planets and houses
Where they are placed.
where they are placed.
And where Arudha Lagna Lord is placed.
Okay. But you don't see the lordship.
You don't see last shift from Arudha Lagna. Okay. Now, the dasha running right now, or maybe until yesterday, was Rahu Antardasha. In Jupiter Dasha, the Antardasha was Rahu Antardasha. The next Antardasha is Venus. What about Venus? Is Venus Antardasha good or bad? First of all, forget Aruh Lagna. First, analyze from Lagna. That is the first step. Is Venus a good planet or a bad planet?
It's strong, it's good.
He is strong, he is in a friendly sign. Is he taking part in any Raj Yoga with Saturn?
In the Rashi chart.
Yeah, in the Rashi chart.
In the not the yearly chart.
Annual Rashi chart. Yeah, Saturn is 5th and 6th Lord, Venus is 2nd and 9th Lord. The conjunction of the 5th Lord and 9th Lord is a Raj Yoga. So they are giving a Raj Yoga. So the result of that Raj Yoga will be given. And what kind of Raj Yoga will Saturn give? Saturn gives mass following. So Saturn and Venus, it shows a lot of passionate following because Saturn is also 5th Lord. The 5th Lord and also planet of mass. So it shows a lot of mass following, mass support, etc. And it shows that support basically coming out because Saturn is the 5th Lord involved in this Raj Yoga and it is in the 10th house of karma. So these planets are not associated with the 12th house. Venus and Saturn are not associated with the 12th house. They are in the 10th house of karma. So it shows coming out in the society and doing things in the society rather than being in a prison. So Venus Antardasha is good from that point of view. And what Arudhas that Venus won? No, won. Venus, does he won? Like Mars won A4, we said. A4 and A5. What Arudhas does? Venus won. A10, Rajyapada, Karmapada, and second one, A6. What do they show? Both of them are Apta Trikona. 6th house is all the struggle and effort. 10th house is the achievement. The karma that you have done in the society, the achievement that you have. So the Lord of those two Arudhas, is he well placed? Yeah, he's in a quadrant. Lord of any Arudha being in a quadrant or trine is good. That Arudha will flourish. It will be promoted during that year. So pardon me? Yeah, he's Hora Lord, but forget it. Who cares about Hora Lord? We're not.
So at least both imprisonment and getting out of jail are significant events this year.
Yeah.
So can
Yeah, but who cares about Hora Lagna? Hora Lagna is basically money and that. We don't care about Hora Lagna for this.
No, but don't you see the Hora Lord of
Oh, you are talking about Hora Lord? He's the ruler of the year? Okay, yeah.
That's what
I see. If he's the ruler of the year, he's an important planet. He will, whenever he gets a chance, he will try to push his agenda. But he will be able to push his agenda more when his own dasha comes, rather than his antardasha comes in somebody else's dasha. So his power in this antardasha is limited. But when his dasha comes, when does it come?
2005
February.
Yeah. So that is the time, because he is the ruler of the year and he is with fifth lord and giving Raj Yoga. You can expect that during that time, during next year's spring, February 17 to April 28 of 2005, then you can expect really good events. Then you can expect.
Next year, the Hora Lord will change. So won't that
This is still the same year. This year, don't do it. When I say year, it's not 2004, 2005. This year started on August 3, 2004.
it goes on till August.
It will August some date, not 3, some date when the Tithi comes.
I got it.
2005. So for this whole year, this is your own personal calendar based on the Tithi, not the universal calendar of everybody. Okay. So if you see the Dasha, the Venus Dasha is coming in February-April time frame. And when the Dasha of the Hora Lord comes, basically you can conclude that something important will happen. Of course, because he is with Saturn could have given that result. But when you have the Hora Lord, typically that doesn't happen. The Hora Lord himself, he is like the king. So king himself gives his own result. He is the king of the year, basically. Yes,
This
Arun.
is the result of the second and the 10th house.
Second house, 9th house, 10th house, the Raj Yoga with Saturn, he
He will give all that effect.
he will give all those results. So all those results will be given, and also the Tapasvi Yoga results. There is a Tapasvi Yoga at see. Shani and Venus are together, and Ketu is in a trine from them. See, if you don't know all the yogas, just click the strength button and other strength button. Look at the bottom tab. See, this Tapas Yoga is given here. Venus, Saturn, Ketu give it. Tapas, austere pursuit, a dedicated and selfless pursuit. The combination is Venus, Saturn and Ketu in mutual kona, mutual trine. So the combination and the planets giving it and the results are given in this particular chart. If you want another divisional chart, just select a Varga and select the Varga that you want, and it will give you what yogas are present in that chart. So Tapasvi Yoga is there. So the Lord of the year, the ruler of the year is giving Tapasvi Yoga. So during this year, he will do some great sadhana, some great tapasya, some great pursuit. So all that will happen in Venus Dasha. And that will be the high mark of the year. If you look at the whole year, 2004 to 2005, that will be the key date. That will be the key period during the year. So it's not that he is going to jail now and then suddenly they prove everything and he will stay in jail. I don't think that's possible. Based on this, he will come out very soon, probably within Venus Antardasha, between November 14 and November 26. During Venus Antardasha, it is very likely that he will come out of jail before November 26, and then during the next February, March, April time frame, it is very likely that there will be some very important events, very important positive events for him, which enable him to do some kind of tapasya, and which will show his following to the world. So, actually I wanted to see another thing. Look at his natal Dashamsa, because we have seen a lot of Dashamsas. I wanted to see Dashamsa. Does any particular yoga come to your mind when you see the Dashamsa? Is there a yoga? A special yoga? What do you say about the Dashamsa? Yes, you are quick. There is Dharma Karmadhipati Yoga. Does anybody see it? Ninth Lord is Dharma Lord, 10th Lord is Karma Lord. If they are together, that is Dharma Karmadhipati Yoga. Here, not Saturn. No, I'm talking about the Dashamsa chart, D10. The 9th Lord is Moon, the 10th Lord is Sun. They are together. Where are they together? In what house? 5th house. 5th house of following, power, abilities, and so on. So there is a very powerful Dharma Karmadhipati Yoga, and it is in Pisces. Very sattvic sign. So this Dharma Karmadhipati Yoga is relating to something very sattvic. And who is the other planet with them? The Dharma Karmadhipati Yoga. Saloni, if you want, you can actually look at this. If you want, I'll put Dashamsa in the top.
You're reading the Dashamsa chart now?
Yes. I'm looking at the natal Dashamsa chart, not annual Dashamsa chart. So if you look at the Dashamsa chart, I think there is a bug. This highlighting is not going away. It's supposed to go away. Okay. So, if you look at the 9th Lord Moon and 10th Lord Sun who are together in the 5th house, there is another planet with them. Who is he? What is special about him? What does he stand for? First of all, what does he stand about? Mokshakaraka, spirituality. That is one thing. So this yoga may be relating to spirituality. There is another thing about Ketu. Which house does he own here?
The first house.
First house. Who is the Lagna Lord in this Dashamsa? Is it Mars or Ketu? Ketu is not Mars. Mars is not the 9th Lord. Mars is not the Lagna Lord. It is Ketu who is the Lagna Lord. Mars is with Jupiter, Mars is with Mercury, and Ketu is with Moon and Sun, 2 planets. So Ketu is with more planets. So Ketu becomes the Lord of Scorpio. So Ketu is the Lagna Lord. So Lagna Lord, 9th Lord and 10th Lord are together. So the Raj Yoga becomes even more powerful because Lagna Lord is involved. Lagna Lord and 10th Lord conjunction is a Raj Yoga. Lagna Lord and 9th Lord conjunction is a Raj Yoga. So there are great Raj Yogas. But will these Raj Yogas be directed in the spiritual line or in the financial line or in the which line? Engineering line? What is the line? What is the direction of his karma? How do we see it? From the Dashamsa deity, the gods, the Dikpalas who are ruling the Dashamsa. So let us check out each planet. Sun, the 10th Lord, the Karma Lord Sun. Whose Amsha is he in? Ananta Amsha. What does Ananta show? Ananta shows spirituality, like we said earlier. Ananta is the upward direction. Apart from the 8 physical directions, you have 2-dimensional directions. You have upward direction ruled by Brahma, downward direction ruled by, upward direction ruled by Ananta, and the downward direction ruled by Brahma. So, Ananta shows spirituality. And Moon, what does Moon show? Is in Agni Amsha. Agni shows transformation, some kind of transformation. It can be engineers, it can be lawmakers, but some kind of transformation. But note that it is not the 10th Lord who is in Agni Amsha. It is the 9th Lord. So the Dharma, his Dharma is that of some kind of transforming the society. Society, because I said society because it's Moon. Moon in Agni Amsha shows transforming the society. So he sees his Dharma in the society as some kind of transformation. He doesn't see his Dharma just as doing some pujas, doing some agamas, and then doing abhishekams, starting temples. He sees his Dharma as facilitating a change in the society. That is what he does because Moon is in Agni Amsha. And where is Ketu? Ketu is again in Ananta Amsha. So out of the 3 planets involved there in the Raj Yoga, 2 planets, Sun and Ketu, and also Karakas of Moksha and Dharma, Sun and Ketu. Those 2 planets are in Ananta Amsha. So directly when you look at this Dashamsa, after looking at the Rashi, you know that it's a saint, it's a very nice person, very sadhu kind of person, very somebody who doesn't hurt anybody, and you also know that it's a sannyasi, somebody who renounced the world because of the Parivar Yoga. That's all you know. But he is somebody who has lot of respect in the society. He will be a great respected leader. That you see from here. Because of all these Rajogas in the 9th from Arudha Lagna, in the Ghatika Lagna, in the 5th house of support, because of all these great yogas, you know that it's somebody very respected, very well revered, and based on Ananta, you know that it's somebody whose karma is directed in the spiritual direction, right? And to see when things happen, you can look at the dashas, you can correlate the dashas. But looking at this dashamsa, you clearly know that this is a really great, well achieved person. It's not just some saint who's sitting at the door of a temple and begging. It is some saint who has great achievements, who's a great leader. Okay? So with that we will conclude for today, and hopefully he will be released soon, and hopefully all the allegations against him will be proven false. With that we will conclude for today. Next week, same time, same place. Om Shanti Shanti